Hi everyone, this is my first video discussing social engineering. I will have a few more coming up in the next few weeks. I want to tell you about how advertisers, politicians, interest groups, religion influence people's thinking and actions. Many historians have argued over the years that social engineering, as we know it, has been around for centuries. As a matter of fact, if you've read The Art of War by Sun Tzu, you realize that Sun Tzu suggested in his writing that manipulating people's emotions and beliefs could influence their behavior and gain an advantage in negotiation. So let's talk about social engineering. Here's the definition that I found in the Oxford Dictionary online. Right under the first definition, centralized planning to manage social change and regulate a society's future development and behavior. Social engineering is a term that first emerged in social sciences, similar to the direct intervention of scientists in human society. The term social engineer was first coined in 1894 by Van Marken to highlight the idea that professionals were needed for handling human problems. In the early days of civilizations, rulers used propaganda to persuade their people to follow their mandates. Ancient Greeks and Romans writers often employed rhetoric to convince others of their perspectives. Religious leaders and political rulers also used propaganda during the Middle Ages to sway people and propagate their beliefs. The Pope and the Catholic Church were and are particularly successful in this regard. During the Enlightenment period, thinkers like Voltaire and Rousseau used propaganda to spread their ideas. And by the 19th century, propaganda had become essential for government to influence the masses. It is therefore impossible to pinpoint one single individual or event as the inventor of propaganda. Instead, it is safe to say that it has been part of human history for centuries and that its use has evolved. So let's talk about Sigmund Freud's nephew, Edward Bernays, and his work impact on influencing people to act or think in a particular way. So Edward Bernays was born in Austria, in Vienna. He's an American public relation pioneer. As a matter of fact, he's the father of public relation. He moved to the US with his mother, Anna, and his father, Eli. Anna was the sister of Sigmund Freud, and Eli was the brother of the wife of Sigmund Freud, named Martha. So he was the first one to apply the principles of psychology to public relation and was considered a master of manipulation. So he basically used the work of his uncle to influence his work in public relation. He was, as a matter of fact, hired by the Third Reich to help them with the propaganda, and which is kind of odd because Edward Bernays was Jewish. And the propaganda that Third Reich, they hired him, they didn't tell him exactly what they were going to do with it, but they basically used his ideas to promote anti-Semitism through propaganda. So I want to make some other reference. Edward Bernays comes from a family of intellectuals. His uncle, Sigmund Freud, was a neurologist, the father of modern psychology. His grandfather was the chief rabbi of Hamburg, and a relative of the poet Heinrich Heine. If you speak German, is a famous poet. So Bernays wrote a book called Propaganda, which dealt with how government and corporation could manipulate public opinion. He believed that if you could control how people think, you could influence their behavior. He believed that a well-crafted message could convince people to think and act in ways beneficial to those in power. So his work with the Third Reich in particular demonstrated his capacity for manipulating public opinion to serve the interest of those he worked for. So Edward Bernays and Sigmund Freud were extremely close, more close than just uncle and nephew. Their work was intertwined. They were influential, prolific figures in the early 20th century. Bernays is often credited with creating the public relation profession. He's best known as the father of public relation, as I said, for his work promoting politicians, celebrities, and corporation. Freud, being a neurologist, father of modern psychology as we know it. If you know a theorist that you like, any theorist for that matter, all their work is based on Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud's work is the basis for modern psychology, and he's father of psychoanalytic theory of personality development and created the field of psychoanalysis. So they joined forces in 1923 and wrote a book called Crystallizing Public Opinion, and later on several advertising campaigns. Bernays used his prolific relation skills to promote Freud theories and ideas, while Freud applied his psychological knowledge to help Bernays create effective messaging. As a result of their joint effort, Bernays and Freud forged an even stronger bond than being just family. Edward Bernays was deeply influenced by Freud's theories of the unconscious and the power of unconscious forces in human life. Edward Bernays drew on Freud's theories to develop his public relations and propaganda theories. He believed that the same psychological principle used in psychotherapy could be used in influencing public opinion and shape general behavior. Bernays described his approach as the engineering of consent. I like that term. His techniques were widely used in corporate and political campaign, and Bernays saw human behavior as being heavily influenced by unconscious drives and emotions, and he argued that people could be manipulated by presenting them with carefully crafted messages. He believed that the public could be swayed and persuaded to act in specific ways by appealing to their unconscious desires, needs, and fears. Please subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for the next video. It will be posted within about 10 days. I wish you a great weekend. Bye-bye.